managing personal authority and personal boundaries. Really, guys, as a man, what this is about is killing. Men have to learn to kill. Now, I don't mean that literally. I don't want you to go out and start killing animals and
We'd have a lawsuit on our hands.
blowing things away. What I'm meaning by killing is having a killer instinct, the ability to kill the desires or dreams of another for the sake of your own mission. That's how I believe men specifically use their boundaries, in a slightly different way from how women use their boundaries.
That's interesting. So in society, there's a lot of people with cross purposes, and if you have to be able to say no to the intrusion of someone else's agenda so you can honor your own. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, you're killing someone else's dreams, desires, or immediate goals or wishes for the sake, not selfishly, but for the sake of your mission. And if you've designed your mission well, then hopefully you're well positioned to help others through your mission.
Right.
It's like for the team survival, so to speak, you have to kill those who will interfere with the survival.
Examples of boundary testing are people want, especially I'm sure you have this in your line of work, in your career. It's people demand your time, right? There's 100 requests for your attention and your time, and you only have 24 hours in a day, so you have to say no or say I can't do that at the moment.
Right.
I have
right.
to I can't appear, I can't do this TV appearance, or I can't answer these emails, or I can't do this or that. So, and people have to respect that.
That's right. Or they don't have to respect it, but they will be forced to because I'm putting up a boundary about it. You know, somebody's trying to call me right now, but it's a weekend. It's not going to be a danger.
Right.
They need to be able to wait. That's their problem.
So how does a guy get comfortable with disappointing other people, right? Because we know that when we're young, we want to please others because that's how we get benefit in the world. But there comes a transition point into adulthood where to honor our mission, we have to get comfortable putting up a boundary and thinking, all right, do I really, as you've discussed, do I really want to allow this in or not at the moment?
Yeah.
And to get, because there is a friction associated with that. When you decline someone else, they're not necessarily happy about it. So how to get comfortable with that and learn how to do it?
Yeah, I think of some of the old movies and novels about coming of age, right? Becoming a man, like a long, long time ago. I must have seen this as a boy on videotape or something. The concept of Old Yeller, right? The dog you love so much is sick. You got to kill it. You got to kill it.
Right.
You got to learn how to kill and be able to tolerate that and not cry.
One effective strategy for myself, because I've gotten much better at personal boundaries and saying no, is to actually, and I'm curious your take on this, is to explore the outcomes with the other person. In other words, let me give you an example. Someone says, do you have time for something? And say, I'd love to, but explore the consequences. If I did that, I'd be unable, you actually can have the conversation. If I did that now, I'd be unable to finish this other project that I committed to earlier. So while I'd like to help you, I can't right now. And perhaps we can revisit it next week. In other words, or even someone says, I need to borrow $200.
Yeah.
And you say, well, actually, I'm committed. My resources are committed. I have a monthly
Boy, that's
payment.
happened to me a lot.
Me too, actually, recently. As people come to me for loans, and I say,
Brother,
basically,
could you spare a dime?
Right. And I have to say, listen, I send a certain amount of money to my grandmother every month. I have rent. Basically, I lay out my stuff to a certain degree, and I say, look, this doesn't fit into the plan. And you can see that just as well as I can. So, lay off the pressure. And so exploring the realities of what they're asking for sometimes gets them to say, whoa, I didn't realize that how committed you were. Right. And they withdraw. And it's a non-aggressive way to set a boundary.
I agree that a lot of times you can get somebody else's buy-in by offering them a menu because it makes them feel empowered and in control, even though you're setting parameters, you're setting boundaries within which you're granting them control.
Right.
If you give them a menu. Like a woman who says, say you have a girlfriend you're dating, and she's like, hey, we really need to go on vacation like next month, but it's not in the budget. And you say, no, then she's going to buck against that. She's going to create some drama around that. But if you say, you know what, that would be wonderful. You are so great to travel with. I got to tell you, the budget is kind of tight, but I would look forward to you coming up with some suggestions for the following month. For example, Mexico, Britain, Hawaii. Let me know what you think.
Right,
You
right.
know? And then she goes away all happy because you gave her this power to choose between these three locales.
Right,
Now, in the end, you're going to decide which locale
right,
because
right,
you're
right.
paying.
Right.
But it seems like she has total control.
I think that's but absolutely crucial because if a guy is trying to operate out there boundary less,
Yes.
he's gonna feel at the whim of whomever. And ironically, the weaker the boundary, the less the guys will be in demand because he'll be
Yeah.
totally. It's a corrosive effect. And the stronger, I mean, we see this all the time. Very strong men are in tremendous demand. Those with the strongest boundaries have the most suitors. People want their time and energy
Yeah.
because they know how to allocate and husband their resources. So when they say, okay, I've got, it's think of a big time CEO. He says, I have 10 minutes for you. What do you want? And people say, all right, shit, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Here's what I
That's
need.
right.
And the guy says, all right, I heard you. I made notes. I'll get back to you next week. And people respect that window of opportunity because he opened his boundary because they know usually it's very hard to get access.
They sense that he knows how to say no. He knows how to kill the dreams and desires of someone else and not forsake his mission, not forsake himself. I think of comparing let's say like a Lamborghini dealership with the electric company.
Ooh,
All right,
I'm
now,
intrigued. Yes.
yeah, now here's how this works. With a Lamborghini, if you even have a dream of owning one of those someday, you're going to have to do a lot of work. You're going to have to slowly, patiently build wealth. Then you're going to need to perfectly budget, allocate,
Right.
and someday get your dream car. But if we're talking about the electric company, and all of a sudden you came home, flip the light switch, it doesn't turn on, you are infuriated. Why? Because we all expect the lights to work. We expect that we're paying our electric bill. It's a public utility. And you mean it is just off? You've got to be kidding me.
Right.
All right? It's what we come to expect that just keeps regularly happening. The electric always works. And then when it cuts off, we're outraged. But we're not disappointed at all if we realize we're going to have to wait a few years to afford a Lamborghini.